music literally every day. Well, can you turn that down?
Sure, about time you showed up. Hey, I left you a burger on the table, but you slept longer than I quantum jumped at Castra. Not sure if it's good anymore.
Well, it was a great nap.
Well, Sunshine, we are arriving to where this information says the battle took place. I'm about to make some money.
Finally. I don't think I could sleep longer, but I could try.
Hey, scrappers! Let's get to work down there.
Heard you, boss. Time to start cooking.
Finally, it's cash time. Alright, starting this integration. Oh man, look at the way it just melts away. That's how you turn metal into gold.
It sure is awesome. Is it time to go to sleep yet?
Are you serious? Just woke up. Let's get out of here. There's a station nearby we can turn this crap in. Woo! Hell yeah!
Alright, let's go!
Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen. My name is Evenlease, and today on 10 Minutes More or Less Ship Review, right behind me, the Argo Moth. Let's go ahead and take a look. Welcome back to another review, and thank you Seraph Omega, What124, WinRAR42, and ZeroGrav for joining me on today's review. You all are truly awesome, and I really do appreciate it. The Argo Moth is here, and it is a medium salvage ship, so let's talk about the pros and cons of this ship, and let's talk about the price starting off. Looking at a $290 war bond or a $315 store credit, it is a bit high in the price field, and you gotta wonder when will you see this thing available in game. There's a good chance we won't see it until well after 4.7, probably closer to 4.8, available to purchase then. And with that in mind, it's a little bit of a way to get this thing in hand if you're looking just to buy it with credits. Now you do have a 12-minute and 30-second claim time or a 3-minute and 7-second expedited claim time. So that means you're actually getting back out there rather quickly if for some reason your ship gets blown up or you lose it somewhere and you can't seem to find it. You can go ahead and claim that thing and be back out there in 3 minutes, which is quite awesome. Now taking a look at the pilot, you do have a total of 656 burst damage per second due to the 2 size 2 CF227 Badgers on this ship. Now, honestly, you're only going to use those guns to help break apart other ships out there that you're already, trying to salvage. You're not going to be really using those guns in a defensive nature, like attacking a ship that's attacking you, because if you were to try, honestly, anything out there could probably rip you apart. Now, you do also have 16 size 2 Tempest 2 missiles on this ship. Now, on top of the firepower with the little amount of guns you have, and then the missiles, you also have what this primary job of the ship is the scraping and disintegration function of the ship. You have 3 scrapers on it, one at the front on a manned turret below the cockpit, and then one on each side of the ship, which is also a manned turret on each side. So you would just enter those, and each one of them has a cinch scraper and an abrade scraper. So that's pretty cool. I mean, the abrade is the best one you want to go with. That one's going to be the best work you can get possible, but it's also currently bugged, and this ship isn't outputting as much as it should, especially if you compare it to something like a Salvation. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was actually very surprised to see a missile turret strapped onto this thing. I saw that earlier in the, guess that, ship, and I was kind of like, whoa, there's a turret on this. Why is there a turret on this? I really thought this was another Gray's Market ship, and I was surprised to see that an Argo craft of anything, especially a salvager, had a big old missile turret strapped onto the top. But hey, I guess that gives you a little bit of firepower, so if you need to go and make something go boom, you can definitely do that. Now, you do have a total of 62,500 quadrant shield on this ship, and with that, it allows you to go ahead and protect you from any sort of energy damage, which is pretty good, giving you a 25% physical resistance and a 95% distortion resistance. It's a quadrant shield, 62,500. It's not the highest you can have out there, but it's definitely not terrible by any means. And then the ship does have 24,000 armor on it with a minus 15% physical damage and a plus 30% energy damage. So a little bit of ship armor goes a long ways, especially when it's all about component death instead of just blowing up the ship overall most of the time nowadays. Now, with that in mind, you do have 130,000 ship HP overall on this ship. So even after you lose your shield and you lose your armor, you do have quite a bit of ship HP before you ultimately explode, which is always a good thing. And with that, it does have a 25% penetration physical damage reduction, a 40% penetration energy damage reduction, and a 30% penetration fuse damage reduction. Now, taking a look at the ship's speed, it's definitely not going to win any races, sitting at 140 SCM with the top speed, and then a 340 forward boost, a 150 backwards boost, and a top nav speed of 960, sadly under that 1,000 mark, which is honestly too bad. It is an industrial ship by nature, but it's not to say an industrial ship can't, exceed that 1,000 SCM nav speed. You're looking at the Hermes, and you're looking at quite a few other ships that do, and that's truly disappointing that a ship like this with so many thrusters isn't capable of doing that. Now, you do have a pitch yaw roll of 30, 30, 75 with a boosted 36, 36, 90. So its maneuverability, it's also kind of heavy. It feels kind of like a whale, and it moves a little slow. So overall, you're kind of a sitting target if you get attacked by anything out there in the verse. So you always have to be very wary about what areas you're out there salvaging and to be kind of considerate of not entering an active battlefield, because they're more than likely going to target you, because it's not like you don't have missiles and you can't become a pain in someone's rear if you decide to lock those onto somebody. Now, you also have 48 flares and 5 decoys, which is pretty decent. A good amount of flares and decoys, just like with every other ship. It's pretty average among the board. There's only a few ships out there that actually have a little bit more than that, but it's kind of rare, and surprisingly. You would think there would be more on a lot of these ships. Now, taking a look, it does have 200 SU of hydrogen fuel and 2.6 SU of quantum fuel. So no real concern about getting around with this ship without having to refuel a lot. I mean, you're going to go out there and you're to salvage, you're going to come back, you're going to drop your cargo off, you'll probably refuel then, and you'll go back out. I mean, it's not like you're going to be out for extended periods, and if you are, you do have the fuel as well as the interior to take care of you and your crew. This is a multi-crew ship through and through, but you can definitely try to solo it just as people do with the Mole. I don't really know how well that'll go in this type of field, because why wouldn't you just pick up a Vulture, or the Fortune or something else in that nature and just go out there with that compared to something like this? Because why have to hop out of your pilot seat just to go over to one of your laser turrets just to do that? Unless your game is pure fracture and disintegration, then this might be a good choice. Now, taking a look at the ship, let's go ahead and look at the outside. It does have an external cargo system as well as an internal cargo bay. We're going to take a look at both. This external cargo system only prints 8 SCU boxes. It comes right out the top there, which I'll show on camera right now so you can see how that looks. And then when it prints it out, it just puts it on this grid, and then it puts another one on the grid, and it continues to do so until it fills up each side with a total of 12 8 SCU boxes, giving you a total of 192 external SCU on these external grid, which is definitely not terrible. Then you got to wonder, where's the rest of this cargo, because this ship can hold 224 SCU overall. So let's go ahead and take a look. You do have a cargo bay here with a nice door. You go ahead and press that button, and it'll go ahead and drop down. Now, while it's dropping down, you just got to, wait a couple seconds here, right? You can fit 4 8SCU containers right here. Boom, 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 boom. They're kind of nicely marked out just like that. Of course, you could probably fit smaller boxes too, like 2s, 4s, and 1s, no problem. And then you can probably fit a couple smaller vehicles on here. Now, I don't believe you're going to be fitting anything like a NERSA, so it's probably better not even to consider that as an option. Now, your other access point and your general access point is going to be the elevator here. So you do have 2 access points on the ship, one right here and one right there, allowing you to go right on up, which is pretty nice. So we'll take this one over here. Yeah, we'll close them both up and go ahead and lift on into the ship here. And again, you're right here into the cargo room, and you're going to be like, ooh, here's where the components are. No. It's not where the components are, but this is your cargo space. So this is where your cargo is going to sit. It'll look really nice. And then if you look around, you got 2 doors. Each door leads to the independent scrapers on each side. And in these rooms, you do have a nice little armor locker on each side. It is replicated, so you can go ahead and open that up and close that up. And then you'd go ahead and get into each little laser here, allowing you to scrape the ship that you're trying to salvage. Now, if you make your way across to the fire extinguisher, and then you got some fuses here, as well as another door here. If anybody's wondering about the fire extinguisher thing, I did a lot of 1 minute more or less shorts on YouTube, and I'm going to be doing that again here soon. And that's one of the things I used to say a lot, because there used to be like 20 fire extinguishers on a ship, and I'd go around and say that a lot, and it was actually quite funny. So I appreciate you being here for that. Now we'll go ahead and go up this ladder. This takes you to the 2nd floor of this ship, which is primarily where your crew is going to be most of the time, except for when they're scraping things, right? So you walk through this door, and you got the main living area with a nice table and bench, and you got the nice kitchen here in Argo fashion, orange everywhere, looking good. And then you have a nice weapons rack here where you can go ahead and store 2 rifles and a specialty weapon, as well as 4, 5, 6 handgun or multi-tool or, you know, medical style weapons here. So pretty good. Another fire extinguisher. And then we'll make our way to the back here, which is where the crew is going to lay, sleep, take care of themselves all throughout the day. You got another armor locker there, another armor locker over there, and then you have 4 beds, 1, 2, 3, 4, as well as 4 storage containers. So you go ahead and open up each one of them, and they hold 1050 micro SCU, which is pretty awesome. So 2 there and 2 over here. And then right here at the back door, you have a nice frosted glass bathroom. You can go ahead and enter here, and you can go ahead and, you know, press some buttons, do some things, you know. Oh no, I don't want to get trapped in there. So yeah, that's the bathroom. I'm not going to get trapped in there. It looks pretty decent, pretty nice. And if anybody's asking, no, the mold did not get an update with this ship coming out, which was really too bad. I was hoping it would get its components, but it didn't. Sorely needed it, and it didn't get it. But let's continue on. If you make your way through the door A1-A here, you'll go ahead and see this is where all your components are going to be housed. So if you go ahead and lift each one of these right here, they have a nice little animation and a sound effect, which I'll go ahead and play the sounds here soon during the sound test. So we'll go ahead and bring this up on each side. Looks pretty decent. And then this right here is where your salvage will go into the internal buffer. Now, this is one of your bigger disappointments on the ship, is your internal buffer sits at a total of 32 SCU, and it is combined between both of them, which means that you're only able to store 32 SCU. So when you're out there disintegrating and fracturing ships, if there's anything bigger than, let's say, a 300i, there's a good chance, well, 300i is a little small. Let's just say anything bigger than a C1 Spirit, there's a good chance it's going to go over that 32 SCU amount, and you're not going to be able to store it. You're going to actually have a lot of stuff go to waste. And I honestly wish they would double the capacity, if not triple it. It should be somewhere between the 60 to 90 mark, allowing you to store at least half of one of the grids, right? Or at least most of one of the grids. And then if you open up theirs, you got a little bit more component access on the left and right. And then the staircase, and then that really annoying ladder. I just called it a staircase, but that really annoying ladder, if you're walking towards the cockpit, half the time it will grab you and half the time it won't. It really just depends. But you do have to really hug the walls, or that thing will catch you sometimes. So we'll go ahead and bring these back down here. And then you can see right here is the engineering terminal. So you can go ahead and access everything right here. It's perfect. Right by the cockpit. You got everything. You got all the access to your components right on this floor, and it looks beautiful. You gotta love that. And then we'll go ahead and make our, another button here. You go and open that, and you got even more access to components. Like I said, they are all throughout this just one room here, which is kind of like a pro and a con, right? It's a double-edged sword where if a ship attacks you, they know exactly just to shred the top, middle of your ship. But also, if you are getting attacked, you have very easy access to your components as well as your engineering terminal without having to run all throughout the ship, which is also a bonus. Now we'll go ahead and make our way into the cockpit here, where the pilot and the co-pilot sit, which honestly, the pilot sits here, but if the co-pilot gets in the seat, it's kind of bugged right now to where they take full control of piloting. Your pilot pilot loses control of piloting. The co-pilot controls the missiles. Co-pilot controls the lighting on here. It's kind of a mess. You don't want anybody in your co-pilot seat. But when you get into the pilot seat, this is where you're going to operate the fracture disintegration system. So you'll go ahead and hop in here, and then you'll hit, M on the keyboard. And when you do that, it should come on out. Now, if it doesn't, there's probably a good chance that your landing gear are currently down. So let's go ahead and flip those engines on, lift off a little bit, go ahead and pull our landing gear up. And then once that's done, we'll go ahead and get into the fracture and disintegration mode, bringing out these really awesome looking arms, and they make some really cool sounds. So we'll do a sound test here in just a second, and then I'll give you my score.
Engines on. Launch complete. Landing gear up. Landing complete. Engines off.
I mean, it sounds pretty cool, right? Honestly, though, the Moth is a pretty cool ship. It's an Argo ship, so it has a great interior. You do like I like the external cargo grid. I'm not sure about yourself, but I like the external cargo grid. It's easier to load and offload. And then you have a little bit of an internal grid, which is pretty nice. Honestly, the Argo Moth it's a decent ship, but while we were cracking that Carrack, it seemed a bit slow. So we looked a little bit more into it, and it seems that it's bugged right now. The scraping speed is actually quite bugged because it's much slower than intended. So with that, hopefully we'll get a fix soon, because currently the scraping speed is kind of like bizarre. You get into this thing going, you're in a medium salvage ship, and you're scraping worse than a small salvage ship like the Salvation, which isn't good. That wouldn't be possible in something like this. Otherwise, it looks fantastic. It has great arms on the front of it that come out and fracture ships and disintegrate, and that works really well. Obviously, you can't actually fracture a Carrack, but if you self-destruct the Carrack, you can go ahead and disintegrate. But again, the internal storage is really low. That internal storage will kill your ability to turn this into anything other than a scraping ship, because if you go out there and fracture anything and disintegrate anything that's bigger than a C1 Spirit, you're going to be losing out on most of the material, and that's really too bad. So with that, my score is a 71 out of 100. She's slow, she's weighty, her scraping beams currently are a little bit bugged, but obviously I don't rate on bugs. But also it's just the internal storage is really lackluster, and hopefully they can boost that up in the next patch or two. Outside of that, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching. Post a comment down below what you think of the brand new Argo Moth, and what ship are you most excited for coming up this year. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys for being here. You guys are all truly amazing. And of course, I'll see you all in the next one. If you're building a new PC, go through longshipindustries.com, a veteran-owned mom-and-pop business that takes pride in every single build. He built my personal rig, which you can actually see featured on the website. The care, warranty, and customer support are top tier. Trust Longship Industries for your next build.